Let's talk about France that has stirred a new controversy. France's education minister has said that the nation will ban children from wearing abaya, the loose-fitting, full-length robe worn by some Muslim women in the state-run schools. Now, this new rule is set to apply from the 4th of September. The move comes after months of debate over wearing of abayas in French schools. Remember, France has a strict ban on religious signs and symbols in state-run schools and government buildings. They argue that they violate the secular fabric or the secular laws in the country. The French education minister, explaining his decision, has described abaya, and I'm quoting, as a religious gesture aimed at testing the resistance of the Republic towards secular sanctuary that school must constitute, unquote. While the decision has come as a first from the 34-year minister, it has also begun to draw ire internationally. Multiple Muslim associations within the country have said that items of clothing alone are not a religious sign. While, there are various other that argue that when one person enters a classroom, they must not be able to identify the religion of the students by looking at them as to what they're wearing. The move is being challenged both within France and outside of it. What exactly is happening in the country? To get us a sense, I'm being joined by my colleague Sanjay Suri, our Europe editor, who's giving us a sense of what exactly is happening in the country right now, the politics around it. Sanjay, over to you. What are the various voices we are hearing from within the country, the various associations and groups, and what is the version coming in from the government?
Well, the various voices really, Anusha, are just two, those for and against. And it's not just a matter of a debate where you take a position one way or the other. This is just a central issue. The Islamic school and the Islamic view of the world is fundamentally different from the kind of argument that the French minister is putting forward. And his argument, as you were reporting, is that a school must be a secular sanctuary, a sort of bulwark against religious teaching. And for that reason the government, as far as state-run schools go, has not just prohibited the dress now or even the headscarf earlier. Also the Christian cross, the Jewish kippah, these are all banned in state-run schools. And the idea is to keep secular traditions alive. That secular versus religious divide in France really goes back to a century and more back, when it was summoned to separate state from the church. But now that whole debate has been focused really on Muslims in France. And let's remember that Muslims are about 5 million in a population of 67 million. So a quite significant minority. And this new ban comes after a lot of trends suggesting that the popularity of this new dress, the abaya, is rising among children, which is of course to say that more and more parents are getting their kids to wear this to school, and this is what the minister is seeking to resist.
Sanjay, if you talk about the recent events in France, there were riots that we saw. There is domestic political upheaval of sorts that was witnessed. In the last few months, in the last couple of months, France has seen internal turmoil and resistance. And of course, many people argue that, and this is the right wing of the politics of the country, that argue that immigration is to be held accountable for it. Does it, these two debates, do they unite at some point? Is there a meeting point?
There is most certainly an overlap because when we speak of immigrants, we are speaking of a lot of people, the overwhelming majority coming from what were former French colonies, principally Algeria and Morocco. And this is the immigrant community we are talking about in France. And this community is predominantly Muslim, and it is their children who have been in controversy. It is a lot of these young second, third generation, in some cases even fourth generation immigrants who were involved in some of the clashes we witnessed earlier this summer in Paris particularly, and really right across France. So there is some considerable degree of overlap between immigration and religion. This, of course, is not to say that one side is right, the other is wrong, but there is this clash that has developed between religion and the state that
Sure.
really is one with feelings of deprivation and frustration, and that is rife particularly among immigrant communities.